He must push the huge mill 700 times every day. Even if he reaches his limit, he cannot stop, because if the task isn't completed, he will be crushed to pieces. His only supplies are a slice of bread and a tiny bottle of water. All waste and trash must be dealt with in a hole the size of a palm. In this strange room, John somehow survived for 2 years. He doesn't know why he's locked up here. He only remembers being at a job interview, but when he woke up, he found himself trapped in the room. He tried to use his phone to call for help, but his phone was missing. As he wondered what was happening, a man's voice came from the next room. John rushed to the vent. The man told him they were all here for an interview. It was a life or death test. The man warned John to prepare himself mentally. The next few days would be the hardest. John quickly asked for details, but the man only said, "I have work to do." Before falling silent, John was at a loss. Suddenly, a strange whistle sounded from outside the door. Then, a piece of bread was thrown in. He quickly reached out, begging the man to let him go, but no matter how much he pleaded, there was no response. The man even slapped his hand away. As he gobbled down the food, a sudden, shrill alarm blared throughout the room. Soon, heart-wrenching screams filled the air. He curled up in a corner in fear, not knowing what was happening outside. He could only endure the long night through the agonizing cries. The next morning, he found a strand of hair in the dirt. Upon closer inspection, it was a bone. Terrified, he hurriedly asked his neighbor what happened. The neighbor calmly told him this was from the previous occupant. At that moment, the system on the wall suddenly activated. A cold voice began assigning tasks. From 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day, he must turn the mill 50 times. The person with the least points will be fired by the company. John immediately understood that the last person standing would meet their end. He stared at the enormous mill, realizing that completing this task was practically impossible. He frantically searched for a way to escape, but the high walls around him gave him no options. All his attempts failed. His neighbor urged him that the only way to survive was to work. In despair, John set aside his pride and began pushing the heavy mill.